asked my partner where he saw us in 5 years. His three-word answer ended our decade-long relationship. This is going to be long. I am typing this from the smallest, most overpriced studio apartment I could find on short notice, surrounded by boxes I haven't had the energy to open. The smell of fresh paint and cheap cardboard is currently my reality, a stark contrast to the familiar scent of the old Victorian house I shared for 10 years. I just need to dump this entire experience out of my brain. I need to make the narrative of my life whole again because for the last 6 weeks, it's just felt like a shredded manuscript. My partner, let's call him Julian, and I were together for 10 years. 10 years. We met right out of college. He was my first real love. We grew up together, professionally, financially, emotionally. We navigated the terrifying landscape of our 20s side by side, celebrated every small victory, and held each other through every crushing failure. We were, by all accounts, the textbook definition of a solid, stable couple. We didn't have the high-drama Hollywood romance. Ours was the slow, comfortable burn of mutual respect and shared history. We moved in together 2 years in. 3 years after that, we bought the house. It was a beautiful, slightly run-down old place that needed everything. We spent the next 5 years of weekends, evenings, and vacation time gutting it, painting it, fixing it. We didn't just share a mortgage. We shared the sweat and blister equity of creating a home. He handled the plumbing and electrical, I mastered drywall and painting intricate trim. Every floorboard, every shade of paint felt like a joint decision, a testament to our permanence. We talked about the future, but always in soft focus, abstract ways. When we have a family, in 10 years we'll be retired and living near the coast. Once the den is finished, we can finally host Thanksgiving. These conversations were the comfortable wallpaper of our relationship. They implied a trajectory, a path we were both happily walking down. We never formalized it. No engagement ring, no official wedding. For a long time, I was okay with that. I actually kind of liked telling people, we don't need a piece of paper, our commitment is real. Julian had always been slightly wary of institutions, and I convinced myself that my modern, independent values meant I felt the same. Deep down, I was simply trusting the momentum of our shared life. Where else could it go but forward? Looking back, the signs were there, but they were masked by the chaos of adult life. Over the last year, a subtle shift occurred. Julian started taking more me time, which honestly I encouraged at first. He picked up rock climbing, a demanding and time-consuming hobby. Suddenly, his Saturday mornings were gone, then Sunday afternoons. Our ritualistic weekend breakfast, once sacred, became something I ate alone while scrolling through old photos. When I'd ask about his day, his answers got shorter. He was still physically present. We still slept in the same bed, ate dinner together. But emotionally, he was becoming a ghost. It felt like he put up a soundproof wall and I was perpetually shouting over it. I'd try to breach the wall with vulnerability. I feel lonely, Julian. I miss you. His response was always a variation of, I'm here, aren't I? What do you want me to say? You know I'm not good at the touchy-feely stuff. He framed my desire for connection as a neediness that he couldn't satisfy, making me feel unreasonable for asking. I started accepting less and less, telling myself that this was simply the natural evolution of a mature, long-term relationship. The passion dulls, the excitement is replaced by comfort. Everyone says that, right? The house was finally done. After 5 years, the den was painted, the bathroom was tiled, and the yard was landscaped. We had nothing left to build, except, well, the next phase of our lives. It was a Tuesday evening. We were sitting at our reclaimed wood dining table, eating takeout, the air thick with the usual comfortable silence that had started to feel suffocating. I put down my fork and took a deep breath. Julian, I said,
trying to keep my voice even and calm. I want to talk about the future. He didn't look up from his phone, which he was using to scroll through photos of his climbing trip. Sure, what about it? The real future. We're going to be 33 this year. We've always talked about having kids. If we want that, we need to start making concrete plans. And frankly, I need to know where we are. I need a real commitment, not just a mortgage. He finally put down his phone. His expression was not one of excitement, or even annoyance. It was boredom, a weary, indifferent patience. I asked the question I had rehearsed in my head 100 times, the one that I thought was the logical, loving next step for any 10-year partnership. Where do you see us in 5 years? I expected a smile, a gentle hand reaching across the table, maybe a nervous but reassuring, married with a couple of noisy kids running around this table. I expected a future. His eyes flicked away from mine towards the window, then back. He didn't pause for dramatic effect. He just answered with a flat, clinical tone. I don't know. I waited, heart pounding in my ears. I thought, okay, he needs more context. I pushed too hard. Well, what does I don't know mean? Do you see us here, still together? Are we still a couple? He sighed, the sound of profound inconvenience. He ran a hand over his tired face. And then he delivered the 3 words that atomized my reality. I need space. Not, I need to think, not, I'm scared of commitment, just, I need space. I stared at him. The comfortable silence of the room was shattered, replaced by an echoing internal scream. Space? Julian, we live in a 3-bedroom house. We've been attached at the hip for 10 years. What kind of space are we talking about? He finally confessed, in a rush of words that sounded rehearsed, that he hadn't been happy for a long time, that the pressure of the relationship track, marriage, family, the endless next step, felt like a cage. He admitted that his climbing trips weren't just about the sport, they were about escaping the permanence we had built. The realization hit me with the force of a physical blow. He didn't want the life we had built. He wanted the option of a different life. And for 10 years, he had allowed me to pour my heart, my time, and my money into building something he knew, in his core, he didn't want to live in. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. That awful surgical calm returned. The one that only appears when you realize the sheer scale of the catastrophe. How long have you felt this way? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. A while, he mumbled, looking at his hands. A few months. More than a few months, I think. I remembered all the little hurts, the distant glances, the short answers. You've been checking out for over a year, Julian, and you let me keep building the house. You let me plan our hypothetical family, our hypothetical future, knowing you were already packing your bags emotionally. He tried to apologize, to mitigate the damage. I just didn't want to hurt you. I thought it would pass. You did hurt me, I said, standing up. You inflicted a slow, sustained wound and called it a relationship. The next few days were a blur of cold, transactional conversations. There was no passionate fight, just the grim, tedious process of untangling a decade of interwoven lives. The house, that beautiful, hand-tiled, hand-painted house, our home became the first casualty. We had built it together, but he was the one who was desperate for the escape. I made the painful but clear choice. I'll buy you out. I don't want the ghost of you in every room. I need a clean break. He accepted the money, a large chunk of his share of the equity, and used it as his exit fund. He was gone within a week, moving into a temporary sublet to figure things out. The shared life. I canceled our joint credit cards, removed him from my car insurance, and changed the passwords to the streaming services. It felt like dismantling a spaceship, taking apart complex systems that were designed to work together perfectly. Each canceled account was a tiny death, a ritual of detachment. The friends. This was the hardest part. Our social circle was one unit. Suddenly, I had to explain. When I told them, the universal reaction was shock. But you two were the couple, the stable ones. The sympathy was overwhelming, but also painful. It was a constant reminder of the beautiful lie we had been living. I had to let go of some mutual friends who couldn't handle the split, who felt they had to choose sides, or who kept trying to offer Julian's lame excuses back to me. It's been 6 weeks since I left the house and moved into this small space. I couldn't bear to be in the house alone, surrounded by the physical monuments of his betrayal. The silence here is deafening, but it's a clean silence. There is no one in the next room pretending to be present. I've cried more in the last 6 weeks than in the last 10 years combined. Sometimes it's a wave of gut-wrenching grief. Other times it's a searing rage at the sheer waste of my youth. I grieve the shared history, the dogs, the inside jokes, the way he used to hum when he was focused. I grieve the person I thought he was, the man who was supposed to be my anchor. But lately, something else has started to happen. I'm buying the art I like, not the neutral pieces we agreed on. I'm painting one of the walls a bold, terrible color just because I can. I'm listening to music that he always hated. I'm rediscovering my own borders. In our relationship, my identity had slowly become the negative space around Julian. He needed space, so I shrank. He was indifferent, so I became the hyper-attentive one. He pulled back, so I pushed forward. I was so busy trying to keep us together that I completely lost track of me. The pain of being left is a primal pain. It screams that you weren't enough. It tells you that the life you fought for was meaningless to the person you built it with. But here's the truth I'm slowly starting to internalize. The lesson that is the only good thing to emerge from this wreckage. Julian didn't leave me because I wasn't enough. He left me because I was asking him to be too much. I was asking him to be the stable, committed, growing partner who was ready for the next level of life. He couldn't be that person. His need for perpetual space was really a fear of commitment, a deeply ingrained avoidance of true adult responsibility and permanence. The great irony is that his act of leaving, his ultimate evasion of the future I wanted, has given me the most profound gift of my life, the great erasure. He erased the future we were supposed to have. He took a wrecking ball to the 10-year foundation. And now, for the first time in a decade, I am standing on clear ground. The path forward is terrifyingly empty, but it is entirely mine. I don't have to negotiate my dreams, shrink my needs, or translate my ambition for another soul. My greatest fear was being alone. But the truth is, I was far more alone in the quiet company of a partner who had checked out than I am now, sitting on the floor of my new small apartment, sipping tea and mapping out a life that is truly, authentically mine. The lesson: never let your partner's fear of commitment define your timeline for life. Never let comfortable momentum be mistaken for shared direction. If they can't articulate a clear, excited vision of the future with you, believe them. A flat, "I don't know," is often the truest answer they will ever give you. And sometimes their need for space is the universe's way of finally clearing room for you to become the biggest, most vibrant version of yourself. It hurts. God, it hurts. But for the first time, the pain is clean. It's the pain of a healing wound, not the chronic ache of an ongoing lie.